What's up guys, welcome back to another video. The purpose of today's video, I wanted to run through another harmonic pattern. So today we're going to run through the harmonic bat pattern. So again, go to my website, patterns. All of the advanced and harmonic patterns can be found at the top on this pattern tab here. There's a breakdown of the patterns and also a trade setup. How to set up these trades, how to identify them, and how to enter and how to manage the trade as well. So yeah, let's get right into it. So bullish harmonic bat pattern. So obviously, like all these patterns, we start with our X to A leg. This leg is not constrained by any Fibonacci retracements. It is literally just a initial price swing to the up or downside. This price swing will determine the final outcome of these patterns. So in this instance, the X to A leg is bullish, moving up. So we want to buy. That means the original, D point, the final reversal of this pattern is going to be bullish as well. So when this pattern is complete, we're looking for a bullish reversal in the same direction of that X to A leg. So now we're looking for our B point. So this is the first point of our pattern to be constrained by Fibonacci levels. So once the X to A point have been identified, the market forms the B point by fulfilling at least a 382 retracement and then either a precise 382, precise 50% of X to A. Now the term precise means that it's closer to 382 than 50%. Therefore, if the retracement is 1 pip less than 44.1, halfway between 382 and 50%, then it's treated as 38.2. Don't worry, I'm going to run through all of this visually on the chart here. If it is 1 pip more than 44.1, then it's treated as 50%. Also, if it's 1 pip less than 55.9, halfway between the 50 and 61.8 retracement, then it's still treated as a 50% retracement, a precise 50% retracement. If it is 1 pip more than 55.9, then it's treated as 61.8 and therefore invalidates this pattern. So to summarize, the B point is valid so long as it falls between 38.2 and 55.9. Now, the precise 382 or precise 50% comes for the D point completion, but we'll get to that later. But essentially, so long as it falls between 382 and 55.9, the B point is valid. The importance of whether it's to do with the B point, as I just said. So let's run through that visually. So we're looking at a retracement of the X to A leg. Try and get this as precise as possible. X up to A. X to A. So initially it says it can be anywhere. It's got to come at least past this 382 level. Now the wick can exceed this 382 and price can close above it. So the long as price exceeds this 382 level, we are valid. And said it's got to come, in this instance, higher. It cannot exceed 55 point, what was it? 55.9 is halfway between 382 and 618. So let's just do that here. 55.9. Helps if I tick it. Not a bad guess with that box there. So 55.9. So long as price comes within this green box, our B point is valid. So like I said, the wick can exceed 382 and the price can close above it. That's still valid. We'll drag the B point to that wick. However, the wick cannot exceed the 55.9 level. If it does that, the pattern is no longer valid. So the wick and the close of the candle has got to be above this point here in order to form a valid B point. Now, in terms of a precise 382 or a precise 50%, the term precise means it's closer to one than the other. So, as mentioned in the text, let's draw that 44.1% on as well, actually, just so you can see it. 44.1%. So this red line here and this blue line here is exactly, okay, this blue line here is exactly halfway between the 50% and the 382. So if price is above this blue line, it's classed as a 382 because it's closer to that than the next Fibonacci ratio. Okay, so if price is above this blue line, it's closer to the 382, therefore it's a precise 382. I know technically it's not precise, but that's what we're classing as precise. If it's below this level, then we're classing it as a precise 50%. Now notice that there's nothing above this 382 because, like we said, it has to fulfill at least a 382 retracement. Now there's the 23.6, I believe it is, retracement level as well, which we could have up here, but I don't know anyone that uses that level. So 382 is the lowest Fibonacci level that's in common use. So technically there isn't anything above this for us to say it's got to be closer to the 382 than whatever else. So it's got to come at least below this and fall above this blue line here, the 44.1%, in order to be a precise 382 level. Now, if it falls below this, it's going to be a precise 50%, and again, to be a precise 50%, it's got to fall above that 55.9%, because this is now halfway between our next Fibonacci ratio, the 61.8. I hope that makes sense. So if it's above this 55.9, it's closer to the 50% than our next one, which is the 68.6. So if it falls within this green box, we have a precise 50% retracement. So I hope that makes sense. So we're going to leave that there at precise 50%. Turn these ones off. I hope that makes sense. Any questions, leave me a message. I'll be happy to get back to you on that, but I hope that's cleared that up. So remember, that's a precise 50% now rather than the 382, because that's important when it comes to the D leg. Now the C point's an easy one, same as the advanced pattern. The C point is valid if it touches at least the 382 retracement of A to B and does not exceed the A point. So let's remove this one. So we're now looking for that C point. Just label this up here, B. So now looking for that C point. Excuse me. The C point can form anywhere between the 382 of A to B, or 100%, or it cannot exceed A. So again, with the wick situation, we can have a wick exceed 382 and price come back down and close below it. That's still valid because price has actually reached this point, although it's closed down here below the 382. Price at some point did actually exceed the 382 point. Therefore, that's valid. So if a wick goes above 382 but closes below it, that's still valid. However, that's no longer valid up here because price exceeds that A point. Price exceeds 100% and then closes below it. Price has exceeded that, therefore the pattern is invalid. So here we have to have a wick and a close price below the 1%. Here we can have a wick exceed it, but close can be below it. Again, I'll make this let's make this 618 level. So long as price falls within this green box here, that is a valid C point, and the pattern is still valid. Let's make this C. Now comes the relatively confusing part, is the D point. Now, if the B point has formed a precise 382, remember ours was 50%, but if it's formed a precise 382 of XA, then the potential reversal zone, so we're no longer looking for a single D point in these harmonic patterns, we're in fact looking for three Fibonacci ratios to come together and form a potential reversal zone. So if the B point is formed at precise 382 retracement of X to A, remember ours was 50, then the PRZ is calculated as a combination of the 886 retracement of X to A, so that's simply X up to A, 886 retracement, so that's this level here. I'll just do this for an example. The 382, I know we've got 50%, but I'll just do this as an example. 886 of X to A, the 1618 of the AB equals CD move. So the same distance as the 1618 of AB length, but this should be copied across and measured from the C point. So it's probably easiest to do this with the extension tool. So we'll go from A to B, back up to A. So this level here, 1618, turn all the other ones off. 1618, that is the level of 1618 extension, so 61.8% extended past that A to B leg. So we can then just copy this across to the C point. So see, our C point here is now our starting point. So this move here where the dotted lines are is our A to B leg, and we can measure that by copying it across. Yeah, you see the center point here matches up with the center point here. That is our A to B move here, so equal distance. And the 1618 extension of A to B equals C to D is here, so we draw our second part of the PRZ here. So that's our second point here. And then finally, based on the C point again, so all of this is based on the precise 382 retracement of A to B for the C point. Remember that. Finally, the D point corresponds to these BC extensions. So if the C point is precise 382 retracement of A to B, then it's 2618 of BC, so just 2618. Just as an example, 2618. This one off. 2618. So it forms pretty much bang on where our 1618 level was, slightly below it. So just here. So these 3 points here and then joined up would create our potential reversal zones. This is where we're looking for buying opportunities for price to then bounce higher. Now I'm going to do it based on our real example we've got here. So I'm just going back through, get rid of all this, get rid of this. So remember, our B point was a precise 50% retracement of that X to A. So we've just gone through the precise 382. Now we're going to go through the precise 50%, which is what we've got here. So again, same as the 382, an 88.6 retracement of XA. This one's slightly different. It's only a 1272 of A to B move. So to start off with, we'll do that 886 retracement of X to A. 886 retracement of X to A here. Next, we've got the 1272 AB equals CD move. So AB 1272. That's probably slightly higher than E there. So AB 1272. It's this green point here, and we'll drag this down to make the CD 1272. So the center line lines up with our C point here, maybe a little bit lower. And then we'll draw that line on here. So this forms the second point of our potential reversal zone. Just here. And then finally, the most confusing part of the D point, the following BC extensions. So C point is a precise 382, C point is a precise 50%, 61, all of those Fibonacci ratios. Remember, the term precise means if it's closer to one than the other. So this falls at the, what was it, 44.1%. So if it's above, closer to 382, so above the 44.1%, then it's going to be a precise 382. If it's below that 44.1% and closer to the 50% by 1 pip, then it's a precise 50%. If it's higher than the 55.1%, was it? 55.9%. If it's higher than that, then it's the 50%. If it's lower, then it's closer to the 61.8, and it's precise 618, and so on and so forth. I hope that makes sense. So long as it's 1 pip closer than halfway between these, then it's going to determine which one is precise. So 1 pip closer to the 382 than halfway between these two, and then it's a precise 382. If it's 1 pip closer to the 50% between these two, then it's a precise 50%. and so on. That can be applied to all of these. So our C point, we need to measure the C point to see what level it's precisely retraced back to. So this was an A to B, precise 382 of A to B, precise 50 of A to B. So which one is ours? Ours is a precise 618 of A to B. And we don't need to put the midway points between these two here because we can see it's clearly bang on the 618 level. So no need for the midpoints. Therefore, our final leg of the PRZ is 200% extension of B to C. So we're looking for a 200% move. So I can just drag this down. B up to C, so we already used that C point, so B up to C. And we're looking for a 200% move. So just looking for 2. And it's close to that original, I think that was the 886 level, wasn't it? Anyway, it's close to one of the other levels in the PRZ. It's a bit slightly lower. And we can then get rid of this. So we've got our 3 points of the potential reversal zone, join them all up together. And this is our buy zone here then. So this is where we're looking at the pattern completion point and we're looking to buy the market. We're looking for a reversal to occur at this point. Now technically the pattern is not classed as completed until it has reached the final point in that PRZ. So this lowest D point here in this example, obviously if it was a bearish point, bearish pattern, it would be the highest point of the PRZ. Just finish this here. So that's our pattern there, and this is the potential reversal zone. So like I said, the pattern's technically not complete until it reaches this last level or price exceeds this last level. However, you are looking for buying opportunities within this green box here. So this might be based on the candlestick formations or a double bottom, or it might have indicators or oscillators at the bottom here based on those. But this is where you're looking for your buying opportunities, and obviously you're waiting for price to move to the upside. Now, stop loss levels for the harmonic bat, 113 extension of X to A. Just put this on real quick. Take that off, 113 extension of X to A. So this is our stop loss down here. And obviously the targets 382 of AD and 618 of AD, as with most of them. So our first target is 382 of A to D leg and 618. Now, if price moves lower, you're going to stretch these fib levels lower and lower and lower to the price extreme, because again, the fib retracement tool is based on an entire price swing, not just to that D point. It's based on the entire price movement these fib retracements work on. So you need to follow the price lower if price does move lower before reversing. If it does, then your first target is at that 382 level. Once your first target is hit, you're going to move your stops up to break even, so where you originally got into the trade. So in this place, we're not setting limit orders, we're waiting for candlestick entries, so your stop loss could be anywhere within this region, anywhere between here. So you're looking for buying opportunities in here. But if price exceeds that D point, you can still look for buying opportunities between the D point and the stop loss, because the pattern is not yet invalidated. Remember, this stop loss level is where we're looking for an invalidation of the pattern, so we're wrong, so the pattern will no longer reverse. This point is said to be the point where like I said, that pattern is no longer reverse, so we're expecting price to continue moving lower if it exceeds this point. There's a higher chance of price continuing lower if we exceed this point than if we stay above it. So we will enter the trade anywhere between this highest point of PRZ and the stop loss. So we could enter a trade based on a double bottom here. If price continues lower, we might get a double bottom and an engulfing candle, look to move to the upside. So we might enter the market around here after the candle has engulfed the second double bottom here. So once we hit our first targets at 382, we're going to move our stops to our entry point, which then might be around here somewhere. And then we're either looking at price to continue to the upside to that 618 second take profit, or it'll come back down. Worst case scenario, we've already closed our 382 profits and it will just stop us out at 0, so we won't actually lose any money on this trade. We've taken our first targets, we've made our first profits, and then we're just cut out at 0, so we take away profit 1, or we continue higher and make even more money. It's a win-win situation, really. So that's how to manage the trade. Like I said, go back through and back test this yourself. You might find out how risk averse you are. You might want to wait for confirmation like this, or you might just want to wait for a single candlestick formation within this area to enter your trade on. It's up to you, but if you are looking at candlestick formations, I do have educational content on these here, which explain these indicators again. You might look for oversold RSI to enter on alongside a candlestick formation. It's completely up to you. Backtest it the way you want it. But that's the conventional way of trading these patterns. So that was the harmonic harmonic bat pattern. Do check out my website. All of these videos will be on there underneath these tabs. So that was a harmonic bat. I hope it was of value to you. Again, thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.